Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids, and in today's video I want to cover what I thought were the difficult bosses and the strategies that I used, and maybe some alternative ideas for you as well, more budget conscious ones, for the first three areas of the Cursed City here on Rotation 2. So I did a video on Amius already, so that's up. You can check that out. It wasn't a great guide in the sense that we kind of beat him fairly easily with the champions we had this time. But it wasn't super clean, let's say. But I do have some ideas in that video for things you could use. But we'll cover Cobble Market bosses, Dead Rise bosses, and Plague Home bosses. I'll also talk about this because you guys were asking me about this on the stream yesterday, like what I did for Iron Twins, and some ideas there as well. And yeah, then we're going to be... I'll probably do some more videos on Soulcross sort of individually, because that's where it's going to be like certainly a really big challenge. Like, you know, there's not much point, I feel, in me doing videos on Cobble Market stages because I can just blow it up in 2 seconds with my champions and gear. Soulcross, though, is a massive challenge for me. So I think that's kind of more interesting, I suppose. But let's talk about this. So, I mean, to touch on Cobble Market first, I thought all the bosses here were fairly easy. I mean, the one that people probably are most likely to get stuck on is probably Bommel. Right, Bommel is just a very, very difficult boss, and there's no way around it. So he's a tricky one. I mean, good news is Arbiter is in here, so that's helpful. I don't have her, but Lady Mikage, right? Lady Mikage does show up for several of the bosses, I thought, in this rotation as being very strong. She'd be a really strong option with ally attack to try and nuke this guy down. Let me see, who else could you use in here? Whoops, hang on, I have my little notes. Let me check this for a couple of the tricky ones. Yeah, so Yannicka. There you go. Yannicka, an attack-based champion. She's the right affinity. She's got a good, strong single-target nuke on her A2 as well, so you get her from the clan shop. Supreme Elhain, really, really good as well. I think for epics, a couple that are quite strong, actually. I think Firegun Isabel would actually be fantastic, right? Coming in with the bombs and, you know, more bombs and weakens and all of that good stuff. Firegun Isabel is absolutely brilliant for Bommel, so she's very strong. Rugnor is quite good. A lot of dwarf epics are really good for this. Rugnor, single target with decreased defense weaken. Gala Longbraids, right? Just with single target damage. You could even run like a Genbo, potentially something with Geomancer. I do think it's going to be pretty hard to try tank through Bommel. I feel like the easiest way to do this by far is to just kill him extremely quickly, because he's only level 150. He is quite squishy. You know, that's how most people I'm seeing are doing it. If you've got any like slow tanky strategy, let me know, but I think that would be very, very hard. But yeah, so that was, you know, a quick look at Bommel. I mean, he's one of the first bosses in Cobble Market, so that does help. Let's come over to the left-hand side first, because I thought the left-hand side is... I actually thought there's a few quite tricky bosses on the right-hand side. I genuinely, for me, just with whatever champions I happen to have, right, playing the game for 3 years and basically getting all those fusions, those login champs, so very similar selection of champs to you, most likely. I found this rotation actually harder so far. I found Amius actually a bit easier, funny enough, and looking ahead at Soulcross, I think Soulcross is going to be a bit easier. Maybe I'll eat those words, but I actually found the other bosses to be quite tough. So, Scarab, people were asking me a lot about Scarab. The trick to Scarab really is Aox, right? People getting stuck on this. This epic can actually solo the boss. I think actually if you look at the best teams globally. So I did it with this. I did it with Pythion, Venomage, and Aox. Venomage totally unnecessary. In fact, it's not good. You can simply solo it with Aox. If the global rankings want to load, there we go. Aox, you can solo it, or you can put in some food for the extra speed or whatever. But yeah, Aox is the way to go. Why is that? Well, it's very simple. Doesn't really matter if he gets provoked solo. You'd have to build him pretty darn tanky in regeneration gear. And his A1 places poisons, but then his passive extends the duration of debuffs on the attacker when he is attacked. So it's great. It's just going to make the poison bar fill up, and it's going to clear it out very quickly. I think that's very intensive in terms of gear. I think the easier way to do it is just slap in a Pythion with him, because Pythion, even if he's provoked, build him with lots of HP and speed, and his A1 is going to basically keep you topped up. Like, the boss doesn't actually do much damage. If you're really worried, you could have Aox faster than the boss, which isn't that hard, and have him put decreased attack on, and he's going to extend that basically permanently with his passive. You could do that too. Like, there are options there. But that's the easiest way to do it. I think if you don't have Aox, this becomes a lot harder. Like you could probably even do it with the level 50 Aox, to be honest. He doesn't even really need to be booked, does he? No, never mind. He does need to be booked because that massively ups the chance of his A1, and you really, really need that. So yeah, it's pretty simple. But yeah, you can solo it with him, but I think it's gear intensive. I found just slapping the two in together is great. Like I said, I tried Venom Mage in there as well initially. I thought, oh, she puts out poisons more reliably and she blows up the poisons. Honestly, I think it just sort of slowed the run down. I don't think it added anything to it at all. So that was that boss. Then we had this one, which was Hard Spider and Magma Dragon. This one's not too bad. You can bring in a Newt for this, Farrakhan for this. Other options are certainly a bit limited after that, but you've got Morag is very, very strong. You always have a good healer in Melga. You've got good support in Vogoth, so you've options there. Yeah, so I think this is doable. It's a bit limited. I mean, you could have just Berserker, just a rare. He does really good damage, so you could have him for damage, Morag for damage. You could bring a decreased defense with Fodbor the Bard. It's a little bit awkward to get decreased defense in here. We use Tomb Lord. There's not a ton of options for it, actually. So that could be a little tricky. But both of these bosses are fairly easy, I thought. So I did not think this one was hard. I mean, we've got Double Calplex, Tomb Lord. It's a very specific thing. But I thought that this was fairly easy, really. Newt brings you AoE decrease attack. Newt brings you max HP nukes and all of that. So I thought that one wasn't too bad, honestly. Then we come over to Fire Knight and Griffin. Again, we found this one pretty easy. This wasn't too bad. It does take a little while to kill Fire Knight. You do have Neldor. I guess he comes in and triple hits. Oh, I guess, no, never mind, because you need to place the freeze. So he's only for Fire Knight hard, so he's actually not helpful here. We'll talk about Old Gruckus in a bit. I've got my level 24 Old Gruckus. He is great for this, because he's got triple hit A1. He has decreased speed with a chance to decrease turn meter on his A2. Then he's got a heal reduction and decreased attack A3. He's super, super good, right? He can help you stay alive. He can stop the Fire Knight from healing. He can help turn meter control the Fire Knight, help break its shield. He is fantastic. So Old Gruckus was kind of an MVP. Razin was great for this as well because he's got the triple hit and he's got the decreased defense weaken, the full turn meter push. He needs a buff. This should not be 6 turns. It could be 4 turns. It could be 3 turns and he'd still, if he get half the cooldown on that from 6 to 3 turns, and he still wouldn't be overpowered. He'd just be good. But Razin is very good. We actually use Skull Crusher for counterattack, and Python really hard carried it as well with the healing. I mean, you do have other options, though. Again, you could bring in Aox for healing. He's not bad. Deliana brings you in Leech if you've got her from a login. After that, it does get more limited. Like, you know, so that's, I suppose, the tricky thing here. Rian the Conjurer could give you a revive if you're stuck, but I think it's going to be hard-ish to survive. But yeah, I found that Old Gruckus was really the key, and Python if you've got him. So Python making a massive impact on this rotation, no question. But this double boss right here, oh yeah, we'll come back to this one. No, let's go to this one right now. No, I'll come back to it. This one was extremely difficult, very difficult. And then I think I did these two maybe today. So we had Eternal Dragon. This was not bad because you got Arbiter and you can just sort of nuke him down. I found that really not too bad at all. I think lots of options there. And then Hard Dragon. Again, this one I found to be quite easy. We just nuked him down. I just put in 5 damage dealers and he died. Again, Python can come in. If you've got a Sifi can come in. There's a lot of very strong options there as well. Let's do this side first and then we'll come back to the Bommel on Ice Golem Hard, which very tough this rotation. Very, very tough. Over here, the Frost Spider. I found this one quite straightforward. Again, Farrakhan is kind of an MVP. You could build him with lots of accuracy. He could place the burn, and that's okay. I use Elenarl for a guaranteed burn. You could have Yakarl for damage that everyone can get. You could have Yannicka for damage. Arbiter can go in there. If you did the Pixneal fusion a few years ago, you could have her in. You also have Skytouch Shaman combos very well with Arbiter. So I think Demitha's there as well. You've got lots of support. I don't think that that's too tricky. Dark Fae, always tricky for people. Dark Fae can be very tricky. I think this is another one where Mikage comes in. Yeah, Lady Mikage. Once again, Lady Mikage, very good here. I made notes on this one as well. I thought Supreme Elhain is very good if you did that fusion. I didn't actually use her, but she'd be very strong. Farrakhan the Fat for ally attack. If you don't have Lady Mikagi, it could be good. Your Carl, I think, is amazing, right? Your Carl comes in, we freeze, so you have him at good speed. He locks out your team. So when she copies your team at the start, he just freezes all of them. Brilliant. And then he can come in and he can put decreased speed on the boss as well, and steal its turn. Doesn't it steal its turn meter? Yeah, it steals their turn meter, puts decreased speed, gives himself increased speed. So your Carl really hard carries this fight, right? He locks out your team, and then he puts massive turn meter control on the boss. So that's great. Again, Yannicka comes in as a damage dealer everyone can get. But yeah, I didn't think this Dark Fae was too terrible, right? I feel like your Carl is such an easy win card almost for it. So yeah, it's typical Dark Fae stuff. You know, it's easiest to go in with some turn meter control. Like honestly, we've got Lysandra makes it very easy as well. But you know, turn meter control and just nuke it down. You can rely on leech or something like that to heal you up. That can be something that you can do. There's not many. Is there anyone that applies leech? Maybe not. Yeah, maybe not. But yeah, you could. I think you could potentially use something like an apothecary for some healing if you want it. Just you probably need your healers to be quite squishy so that they're not gonna be too difficult to kill. Down here, Eternal Dragon, Fire Knight hard. So this one is quite tricky as well. Like if you don't have the right champion for this is Creodan. Creodan really hard carries it because he's got the triple hit A1 with freeze, and he's got the double hits with freeze, even increased speed. So that made it really good. I put in Apothecary again for the triple hit for knocking down the Fire Knight shield. I think we killed Eternal Dragon first and then switched over to Fire Knight. Rhonda was great as well with her passive joining in. The 3 hits, potentially quad hit A1, and single target damage. Very good for these bosses too. So yeah, honestly, like the A1's kind of hard carry it. Then we had Elva in for extra support. But looking at, there's a lot of good, like King Galkabar, Sigmund, who was a previous fusion in there. Thalia. Islan would be great, right? Recent fusion. Islan, he could heal you up and keep you alive. Even Gorgrab there could probably keep you alive just fine, So I feel like it's not terrible. That might be the biggest sticking point if you got really no survivability. Even potentially double Apothecary, though, could totally work. Yeah, Creodan's just going to make it easier, and then the Rhonda. Rotus was in there just for bonus. Over here, very annoying boss. Very annoying. Scarab. Scarab always sucks. So yeah, and this time you're in against Spider as well. So I did not use Aox on this one, and looks like most people aren't. So you can't do the Aox cheese, at least quickly. But it's going to be fairly rough when even the best turn count in the world is like 27 turns. This one is quite tricky. So obviously, champion I don't have, Lanatharil or Lanatharil, he's perfect because he gives you a shield and ally attack. Brilliant for knocking it down. Like, how do you destroy HP in the Scarab? It's like I just brute forced my way through, honestly. But you might have to re-gear someone in destroy gear. Or if you've got Skull Lord Vargal, he's perfect. Again, I don't have Skull Lord Vargal, so I just had to brute force through. Rathalos is here, so that might be the easiest way to do it, would be to just put in like Rathalos in destroy set, or Razin in a destroy set, and have them kill the Scarab. That might be the easiest thing. Rector Drath, brilliant for keeping you alive through it all. Pytheon, brilliant to keep you alive through it all. Just someone tanky, pumping out heals. Doom Priest, very good for just constant healing. Even Aox could do some healing. Maybe Sinacia, even in a destroy set, could do some decent healing and also help destroy the stuff. And yeah, you need some AoE damage to kill the Spider. So I blew up the Spider first. That's not too bad. Razin helps as well. Turn meter pushback there is quite decent. But then it's a long, slow slog if you don't have destroy to kill the Scarab. Blood Shield accessory is very helpful. There's really not many good shielders. I did have Helior who can shield, but he's not booked, so it's quite a long cooldown. But Helior is an option for shielding. Lanatharil would be the big one. But yeah, this one is... I thought this one was quite tricky. This one was quite tricky. It wasn't hard for me because of Python kind of carrying it, but it was very, very slow. It was very slow. We'll come back to this in a second. That was insanely tough. Then we had Ice Golem hard, and I thought this was quite easy on its own. I used a Sifi. Mithrala is in there to give you massive tankiness. You've got Uko as an option. You've got Bambus 4-leaf as an option for shielding, keep you alive. So I think you've got quite strong options for survivability. Gorgorab, again, can tank you through it. Used this guy a lot last rotation. Steel Skull, again, he can heal you up and sort of tank you through the fight. So it's not too bad. Like, we were just triggering retaliation hits like crazy, and it was not doing much to us. So yeah, like Mithrala makes this very, very, very doable. And then just some damage. It doesn't even matter. We went very high damage, but you could use Wukong. Nishak could be good as well for the decreased attack. Lots of very strong options. So I thought that was pretty doable. And we come to, I found this boss to be incredibly, incredibly difficult, guys. So let me show you. This was from the stream yesterday. Let's leave this playing. Actually, let me break it down for you first. So I found this extremely hard to do. I found actually the 2 key champions, honestly, probably the 3 key champions were Geomancer for the damage, but Grunch Killjoy and Old Gruckus, they're both S tier for this. Grunch is almost mandatory. Almost. If you don't have a Grunch, I think you could do it, but you'd have to build like everyone in shield set, or you'd have to build like everyone in stone skin or something, because you just get so many poisons at the start of the fight. And with this Force Affinity lineup, there's like almost no support whatsoever. Like, they're very squishy. So staying alive through all the poisons is just extremely difficult, right? Because, you know, the boss itself doesn't hit hard. They're only level 150. They're very weak in terms of their damage. But guess what? Poisons from Nether Spider do just as much damage at level 1 as they do at level like 500, if there was that. Like, the poison's poison. So it's a huge amount of incoming damage. Grunch is the MVP. It's a long cooldown with 4-turn cooldown. Remove all debuffs from all allies, and then puts a continuous heal on them for every debuff removed. So this removes all the poisons and basically is going to fully heal your entire team. So Grunch is absolutely fantastic. He also has a block buffs to stop increased attack on the dragon, though I did not think that was important at all, really. But it's worth noting. Then Old Gruckus I found to be extremely good as well. Reason being, with Geomancer in particular, AoE heal reduction and the decreased attack is somewhat helpful, but putting heal reduction on the spider, you start triggering counterattacks, and all of those counterattacks are activating the Geomancer passive. So Geomancer burns the spider, and you use the counterattacks to trigger the thing. You have to be quite careful, and I encourage you to watch through my live stream to see my whole progress on this. You do have to be careful in terms of how many counterattacks you trigger in case you're going to get run over. The key really is to try to time it. We did double ally protection as well. That was sort of the strat there. Is to try to time Grunch's cleanse. If you've got 2 Grunches, it's going to be very easy. Try to time it for right before the spider takes a turn. So like on the opening for this fight, for instance, if we come in, right, we're going to get turn meter depletion from Geomancer on the boss. So we actually want to wait. We do not want to do his move right at the start. We can actually do an AoE and put out some bombs. Unfortunately, neither landed on the boss, so this is not helpful at all. But because we're going to cleanse all these poisons off, it doesn't actually matter. But yeah, so we're going to burn the boss, push his turn meter back, and now we're just sort of waiting. With Geomancer stuff out, now we're good. Actually, for the sake of Geomancer right there, maybe don't A2 with Grunch, maybe just A1 at the start. You got ally protection, double ally protection, even a bit of heal over time from her. The Geomancer survives. He's going to do an A1. Then you can see lots of poisons going out. I think at this point I do the heal because people are getting a bit low. You could potentially even delay it one more turn because Old Gruckus can do turn meter control as well. It's all going to depend on your speeds and stuff like that. Yeah, now we can turn meter control the spider. Locks him out from a little bit of a turn. If you don't have Old Gruckus, you can get heal reduction from Skull Crusher. But yeah, I thought this was super nasty. Like, what are you supposed to do? Right? What are you supposed to do against this fight? It is so tough to get through all the poisons. Like, the more you hit that main spider, the more he poisons you as well. Like, it's super nasty. Leech from Old Gruckus, that's really helpful as well. If you've got War Master on the champions, that's going to give you a lot of healing. Preferably hitting the dragon, not the spider, because again, you hit the spider, you start getting poisons and poison sensitivity, and that stuff's quite scary. We're going to steal the increased attack this time to just reduce the damage a little bit. But yeah, just surviving through all this stuff is quite nasty. Again, if you've got 2 grunches, you're going to have multiple different cleanses and it's going to be okay. But I found this one to be genuinely extremely hard. There's a couple of legendaries that are super overpowered. We'll talk about that in a second. But we did this with all epics and it was certainly not easy. Old Gruckus died, unfortunately. At this point, I think we probably just A1 with Geomancer here. Oh no, we burn. Okay. I was a little concerned, I suppose, about the spiderlings killing. I guess at this point, you know, with the big spider dead, you're quite safe. Like, the poisons will tickle you down from the spiderlings, yes. But it's really the big spider exploding them all at once that's just going to kill people. And then you've got no opportunity to cleanse or to heal or anything. So, again, here, I say at this point, we're so safe. Yeah, I'm actually just going to AoE, look for some bombs or some extra damage. We're getting cheeky. Extra damage. I think you get turn meter from them as well, from Grunch. Yeah. Potentially save up to 2 Grunches for this. Having double cleanses, surprisingly impactful. But yeah, I thought this one was very, very tough. And then we can just A1, and they're like, that's basically it. The fight is dead at this point. So yeah, we skip on. And there you go. So it took us 3 minutes, 42 turns. Geomancer doing all the damage. Grunch doing all the healing. Ruckus stopping the spider from healing. So it's really those 3, and then putting in champions to potentially keep you alive. You could maybe strip off the counterattack with the Rian the Conjurer and try to kill the spiderlings. That could be an option, I think, as well. I didn't try that. Maybe that's easier. I'm not sure, but I thought this was very tough. I don't know how Bango did it in this many turns. I think this guy is really good. I don't have him, but he can cleanse on every A1, and he's got counterattack on himself. Does he? Or taunt? I don't know. He's got something. I think he could be very helpful, though, for cleansing you. I see both the top guys in the clan use that. This would be your ideal team. You know, a bunch of plus 2s and plus 3s and plus 4s. But Kargar Deathbell gives you absolutely monstrous amounts of ally protection and healing. So he is fantastic. You could get shielding. I don't think increased resistance can really help you much. But I think you can't resist the spider. So you will get poisoned, but it can still help, and it gives you a shield, that guy. So he could be kind of good. Beauregard, I think he's called. And then I think Ruark can basically solo it. Ruark with his passive, that's probably the easiest way to do this fight. Ruark, right? So simple. Every time you get hit hard, he gives you a big shield for max HP. So I think Ruark can probably solo this and just hard carry your team. He'd be certainly the easiest way to do it. But I think this boss, needs to say, is very nasty. It looks like they're doing like poisons as well and extending them with Vizier. Very good strategy as well. Maybe Vizier brings heal reduction, I'm not sure. Yeah, lots of this guy showing up. He wasn't guaranteed before, so there's a decent chance you have him. Again, I didn't have him. Maybe he would have made that a lot easier. What's he called? Let's double check. Duodan. He could be really good, right? Removing a debuff from all allies when he attacks an enemy. Yeah, he puts strength and counterattack on himself. Shield on all allies. Oh yeah, so he's perfect for this. You just have to be careful of the AoE attack, but he could be really, really strong. Yeah, real strong. He's gonna, again, every time a spiderling attacks you and poisons your team, he'll counterattack and could just rip that poison right off again, which is just uber helpful. So that was that fight. I thought this is insanely difficult. And it's amazing because I think we just breezed our way through pretty much the bosses. I think we breezed through everything pretty much up to Soulcross last rotation. Just the different champions coming in here. I was like, I'm pretty sure it's the exact same boss we fought last time. I don't remember it last rotation at all. But this time, dear Lord, was it nasty. Let's talk about this as well. So we did this on the stream too. Let me see. Yeah, so this is how we did it. This one is super, super nasty. Wait, no, this is not the right one. That's the Fire Knight one. The other Fire Knight. We need hard Fire Knight. Hang on, let me find it. Okay, so for this one, I thought this boss was insanely hard as well. My strategy for this was very simple, and I think this is really difficult to emulate, but we are using Rathalos, Blade Master. We just went full damage. He just said, let's just kill everything. Let's go. And Staltus and Stone Skin kind of carries us through. So we keep activating Ice Golem like crazy. Ice Golem is just murdering everyone. Bommel murders everyone, and Staltus survives just barely to the end. But like, I'm genuinely not sure how you're supposed to do this boss. It's horrific. So we've got Sisia, fantastic for decreased defense, weaken on everything. It's going to up. You can see they're very squishy, right? It's going to up the damage hugely, so that's great. For Mordecai, I just did an A1 on Ice Golem to push his turn meter back, and he instantly comes in and freezes half the team. So there's a rather large element of luck tied into that as well. Did an A2 from Rathalos. You could maybe just do his A3. Get one counter attack there. Yeah, probably his A3. But you can see this guy, he's so squishy, he's just murdering you. So it's quite tough. Like, he's just doing multiple hits in a row. These guys are stunned. Everyone is kind of screwed. This is maybe one thing you could do. So obviously bombs, if you've got stone skin, will just kill you. But if, you know, if you can outrun it, like right there, the bomb, look at that. The bomb actually did not do much damage to Staltus at the end. But you want to be scared of stone skin. So that might be the way to beat this boss. Is like full damage. Again, Rathalos is amazing. You need decrease, like some way to get decreased defense or attack. I think that's really tough. Like this is just nasty. So I thought this concept was perfect for the team. Like you could use Abyss for decreased defense. Awkward though. I don't know. I just think it's really tough. I thought this one was really tough. But yeah, that's what we did. I think you could put more people in stone skin. You wouldn't be frozen or hit by the ice golem. Blow him up, kill him. And so long as your stone skin falls off before Bommel bombs go off, I don't think even the Bommel bombs are that much danger. I think it's literally, again, the non-scaling adds that he summons in, right? When you push Bommel's turn meter back, he summons in, or he also just summons in 2 of those side bombs. They do max HP damage. And like looking at this, there's just very few good revivers or healers or protectors. Like, I don't see how you're supposed to survive. Perhaps you could freeze them with an Achak. That's possible. Or Neldor, maybe. You could try freeze the bombs that Bommel summons in. They do less damage. But I actually think just going in and stone skin and trying to kill him, or even just nukers like this, but like you've got pretty good gear to pull it off. Like we've got pretty good gear. We could have also, it looks like we could have just used Mordecai's increased attack and really hammer them at the start. But like we did it really fast. Other people are doing it. Vassal of the Seal showing up. Lots of Sisias. Shiramani, unfortunately, I don't have her, and that blocked me in Soulcross last time. But Shiramani, brilliant. She gives you lots of healing, and she gives you the AoE freeze for the Bommel bombs. She can make it quite easy. Black Knight for healing. Withier, I don't have, but for healing, she's good. Oh, I guess Glycea, I think, gives you an AoE freeze as well. So freezes, Shiramani or Glycea, very good. I think Achak's a good budget option for that. But I genuinely think this is extremely hard. Oh, Lanathril would be really strong. Again, I don't have him. He'd be very, very strong as well. Maybe Oathbound can freeze. Let me double check. Can Oathbound freeze? Because I have a 6-star. He can freeze on his A1. Now, it's only his A1, but you could do that. He has decreased attack, which is good. The decreased turn meter, that could be dangerous against Bommel, but that could be quite, he could be quite strong. Yeah, he could be quite a decent option, actually, if you're stuck for some slower manual stuff. But maybe he's the way to do it. Maybe you could cheese it a bit with him, but I don't know. Let me know. What have you guys done? Has anyone else got a very different strategy for this? The guy I'm talking about there is Soul Drinker, by the way. He puts out bombs. And he puts out bombs when he dies. So again, you could potentially have a bunch of Soul Drinkers with crazy high attack. Doesn't even need crit rate. Just have him go out and throw out bombs on everyone, right? And have him die and have someone super slow and stone skin. Hope that they survive the way through and the bombs kill them. Maybe like with 4 Soul, you can maybe have 5 Soul Drinkers. You could do it, perhaps. I don't know. It's an intriguing idea. 5 Soul Drinkers. But who has 5 Soul Drinkers? But possibly you could do something. But I thought this was really genuinely tough. So look, there you go. Some insight from me on these. I like genuinely thought this boss was exceptionally nasty this time. I thought this boss exceptionally nasty. Yeah, and then there's a few others we talked about in there. The Scarabs are just always a pain in the arse. But yeah, like just Bommel a Scarab, man. Whenever you see Bommel, you see Scarab, you're in for an awful time. Nether Spider, I actually really like as a boss. I think it's well designed, but again, you might just get a Nether Spider in here where you have literally, I believe it's literally 1 cleanser. I think Let me see. Positive effects. Remove debuffs. Like, that's it. Gerda and him. I think I could be missing someone. Obviously, I'm probably missing some legendaries, etc. But like Gerda removes 2 debuffs from all allies on a 3 turn. She could also cleanse off the counterattack. So, I mean, maybe Gerda could be okay, but I don't know. I don't know if she would work. But like, I genuinely feel like if you don't have Crunch, you can't beat this boss. I don't know. I could be wrong, but that's how it feels, which is nasty. I had to build him and book him and everything. There you go. Look, there you go. That's Soulcross. Not Soulcross. That is everything but Soulcross in the Curse so far. I will just mention with Soulcross briefly. Did do Iron Twins. I did this team. It's really just Sifi Rotus. Honestly, Whisper does good damage as well. And you could bring in a decreased attack champion. Like Vlad was an old fusion, but it's possible. Ugo maybe gives you some healing as well. Siege Hulk, he'd be difficult to keep alive, but yeah, that was it. Just a really tanky Sifi. And again, just even 1 damage dealer, and I think you can sort of get through slowly. I even found like this, it took me like 4 minutes. Like I did not have a very fast run at all. Well, he's actually done it with no healer. Like the boss just doesn't hit you very hard. Like Rector, Drath, and Doom Priest are bad affinity, which is kind of bad, by the way. I think you want to match spirit stuff to spirit, isn't it? I don't know. But yeah, like they didn't die, right? Like they were tanking through it all no problem, even to the end. It's like the Doomsday Machine with no buffs on. Rector Drath could tank it. Now she's in good gear, to give you a concept. 68k, 3k defense. Like she was tanking it no problem. No problem. So like you can get through even with Force Affinity champs, I think, if you have to. But this could be tricky for people, I think. Like for me, Sifi Rotus, I think, can just duo it, no problem at all. Probably would have been better than all of this. But yeah, that's what I did for it anyway. But again, let me know if you got any non-Rotus comps for that. Anyway, hopefully there's some helpful tips for you there, guys. Some insight. Let me know if you have any questions as well. I could maybe talk about some of the regular stages if some of those are really tough as well when we're doing some of the Soulcross videos. But I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.